everyone for joining us here for BMC Exchange conference here. And what an amazing opportunity to be able to present the better together vision that Google and BMC are actually embarking on. That's what this session is all about. So some housekeeping stuff. I'm the speaker. My name is Sri Varada. I actually had the customer engineering team for digital natives out here in the US. And the people who are moderating today are Kelsey, Uma, and Chad. So if you have any questions while we're talking, please actually throw it in there. I've been with Google for over 7 years now, so all with cloud. So I've kind of know a lot of good stories, and I'm very excited to actually talk about this partnership. So agenda today for us is basically, kind of like if you've heard this morning's keynote from Andrew, we'll be touching a little bit on how this partnership with Google Cloud and BMC came about. And then we're also going to very quickly talk about, the art of basically unlocking the data value. And then we're also going to talk about how it is important to do cybersecurity. And lastly, actionable insights, right? So that's what we're going to be really doing here in this agenda. And one quick note before I actually go into this agenda is this is not the roadmap. We're going to talk a lot about what is possible with Google and especially Helix. So kicking off a partnership overview, right? Like last year, while this partnership has been going through for a long time, like this year, we actually announced this publicly. BMC and Google actually announced a strategic partnership. So what is this partnership all about? So the partnership was actually built on four major pillars. First one was we actually wanted to establish some form of a multi-year executive technical alignment, especially with the go-to-market strategies, in order to make sure that we are delivering the next generation capabilities for ADE, Autonomous Digital Enterprise, right? And then the other thing is we've actually realized that Google and BMC actually have a lot of joint customers together, and why not actually join hands in actually delivering this entire innovation together, and also bringing a bunch of other features. The next one is both BMC and Google Cloud are world-class companies. What an amazing opportunity would it be to actually join hands in order to, build on top of our amazing security and globally scalable platforms together. And then lastly, how do we actually simplify the procurement benefits and take the time to market and the value that we bring together as a team. So those were the guiding principles of this partnership. So in a nutshell, we actually wanted to see with this partnership, can we actually go into the markets that we serve together? So how does that really look like? What does that even mean? What is a partnership? So on one end, we have BMC. We are currently focused heavily on the BMC Helix platform only, not other products. So we're actually looking at how BMC's service and operations management product, which already has industry-leading capabilities, real-time insights, and a bunch of other stuff, right? So there's all that goodness that BMC provides, and then on Google's side, we are actually leader in data and analytics, and we love innovation in ML. And there is enough value that Google provides on a cloud platform on scalability and multi-cloud. We wanted to see if we can bring that to bear. And together, we wanted to meet in the middle in such a way where we're actually delivering Helix on our platform, along with the scalability and automation, and also best-in-class security, and everything else that Google Cloud and BMC have to offer collectively as two enterprise organizations. So when we talk about this, the partnership, people always think that, oh, maybe it's at an executive level. No, this is a full-on partnership. When I say a full-on partnership, Google Cloud and BMC are hand in hand, not just at an executive level. Our engineering teams are working together. We plan to have our go-to-market teams work together. We plan to have our product teams work together. So that's how deep this partnership is going to be in its heyday. So the two main offerings that we're actually going to have on Google Cloud, and with Google is the BMC Helix Service Management and the BMC Helix Ops Management. So now we're going into the fun part. So that was what the partnership was all about. What were the underpinnings and everything? Now the question is okay, that's great. Now you're working with Google, but what can you do? So one of the things that I saw today in the keynote, and for many of you who have been following today, was how important it is for BMC and every other company out there um, to actually make sure that we are innovating on security. And BMC has always already done a great job, doing all that stuff. But joining hands with Google, what does the art of possible look like, especially in the security realm? So Google, as we actually have over 9 products that have over 1 billion users. So security is at the core of it. So for us, security actually happens at every layer. It's not just at operational layer. It actually goes all the way down to the data center to the hardware. Like Google also actually has ventured into we sometimes we actually make our own chips. We have Titan keys. We have so many other things that we do to make sure that our customers and our consumers are secure. And then the other thing is the Google Cloud Platform. We have a very large footprint, and as you can see from this picture right here, is we actually have a global footprint, and we continue to expand. When we continue to expand, what does that mean? Like, it's like not only are we building data centers, but we're also laying our own cables. We're also laying our own pops. There's a bunch of stuff that we're doing, but that's all on the hardware side. But then actually, when you move in, how do we join hands with someone like BMC? Is what we call how do we modernize? Like we as Google Cloud, we have all these amazing things, but then some of the customers that we have jointly don't have all these things, and what if they don't want to come onto Google Cloud, or even are ready, or they're on Amazon or somewhere else, right? So that's what we're trying to do, is like, can we actually transform the security landscape by actually bringing our infrastructure and intelligence where you are? That's the next step. And how are we doing that? We are doing with our offering called Chronicle. So Chronicle was actually born after the Aurora attack. I don't know how many of you actually know what Aurora attack was. It was one of the largest security attacks that we faced as Google, and probably even in many other companies. So one thing we realized after the Aurora attack, which we were able to thwart, was that no stone unturned. Like, detect everything, trust nothing. That's where Chronicle was born. So Chronicle, the product, basically what it is it's a telemetry based intelligence and detection system, right? So we have Helix, which is already an operations management, and they're a security product. And then now you actually have something like Chronicle, where what it does is it adds on to the traditional SIEM. Usually what happens in an SIEM world is the security is limited at a certain level. But when you start doing Chronicle, with Chronicle, what we're doing is we're actually going all the way full stack, right? So this is one thing that we are planning to bring in to see if we can bring it to Helix, right? So that's the beauty of actually working with Google, is we are trying to push the boundaries where we are not actually forcing our customers to actually build new products. We're actually augmenting it. So that's the art of the possible. And Chronicle actually solves many of the challenges that the current SIEMs actually are not able to provide, right? Number one, we're actually cloud native, so we can actually scale as much as you want. Number two is you don't have to build, and you don't have to venture into this very expensive kind of build outs, when we can actually have a fixed cost model. And then lastly is our motto has been trust nothing. So which means that we are actually already doing a lot of work where we're not missing any threats, right? And this is the architecture of Chronicle. It's a lot to go through, but the most important thing is that it's end to end, and it actually works really well. And what makes us different is that this is completely on the cloud, which means that we're actually able to tap into a lot of these amazing things. We're able to do it a lot of self-managed stuff. We're able to make sure that we're actually bringing the best of the Google into this product. So that's on the security side. Now, once you've secured your product, now you've secured your thing, what does BMC want to do next? Is one of the things that I've heard in the keynote today is agility, right? Business agility. What if you are an on-prem customer? What if you're on one of the other clouds like AWS or Azure? This is not just a competition where everything has to be on Google Cloud. Google is very, pro multi-cloud. And for us, the philosophy has always been that future should not just be one cloud. It actually has to be hybrid and multi-cloud. What is the difference between hybrid and multi-cloud? Hybrid is when you actually have a cloud and on-prem. Multi-cloud is when you have multiple clouds, and that's where we want to play, and that's what we want to bring to Helix in the future with this partnership. So what does that really look like? With the flexibility of actually going multi-cloud and hybrid, we are actually able to basically simplify a lot of your complex environments. Number two, we're able to deliver the same security narrative that I was presenting before onto different clouds, and even like your own your on-prem. And then the last thing is, like, we're actually able to, like, very cost effectively and resiliently able to store a lot of data, right? So how do we do this? We actually we try to do this with our product called Anthos. But the premise of what we're doing with Anthos is we're trying to make sure that we actually are saving a lot of your developer time, and we're actually able to, like, we're able to turn all of the assets that you're already paying for into a net positive. I think that's one of the things that I also heard today in the morning in the keynote, was that, how can we actually, like, save a lot of our developer productivity and enablement and everything. And that's what we're really trying to do, right? So Anthos basically is our product that we actually use for our multi-cloud. Essentially, what Anthos is it's a single pane of glass where we're delivering best-in-class Kubernetes experience with GKE. As many of you probably already know, Kubernetes was actually one of the inventions at Google, and GKE is the Google container engine that Kubernetes runs on. With Anthos now, what we're able to do is we're able to build that single pane service mesh and actually deliver the entire infrastructure and federate all of your infrastructure on different platforms. What this does is it actually helps a lot of the developers just learn one thing but still work with multiple different platforms. And it's very easy to migrate containers. So essentially, let's say if you have a data center that you've already just paid for, why retire everything and move on to cloud? You can actually craft your own migration now that you have a product like Anthos that's helping you modernize while you're still in the same place. And then when it's time for you to, like, retire the data center, then you can move on to the cloud and you're already modernized. That's the benefit of hybrid cloud. And we've seen that a lot of the customers that we both jointly share, BMC and Google, are still making that transition, and we don't want to penalize them. We actually want to enable them. And this is the typical architecture of, like, typical flow of, like, how the solution comes down to. You have a bunch of different clouds and different environments. They're all controlled by a single control plane called Anthos. And basically, we actually provide an entire fleet management, a service mesh, cloud operations, security, threat detection, pretty much everything with that single pane of control. That's what we do, along with the previously discussed Chronicle SIEM. Right? So that's how we plan to go secure and multi-cloud. And we've actually have enough evidence that this is working, because these are some of the numbers that Forrester has provided, and we plan to bring the best of this to BMC. And the last thing is, now that you actually are able to do a lot of interoperability, and then you're actually able to make sure that you're very secure, what do you want to do next? Today, I've been hearing quite a bit, even from Ali Siddiqui, the CIO of BMC, that AI ops is something that everyone is actually looking at. Google, if there is one place that I personally think Google shines really, really bright, is machine learning and ML ops. And Google Cloud actually is doing a lot to actually bring this to our cloud customers. And our mission is pretty simple. And we've done this with a bunch of different customers already, and we plan to do that with BMC. We want to be able to make sure that every company can become an AI company. It's not an if, it's just a matter of time. We need to get it done, right? And then how do we do that? We actually do that by bringing the machine learning to you by making sure that we break all the barriers of entries, especially when it comes to developer enablement and etc. So one of the unique things that I personally have always loved as a data scientist about Google Cloud AI is that we meet you where you're at. What does that mean? If you're just a data analyst who are trying to actually get into ML, we have BigQuery ML that's actually built into BigQuery, our managed data warehouse. If you're actually someone who wants to dabble in a little bit and actually wants to understand a little bit more, like I know a bunch of, like, people who are playing with our Vision API are now actually able to go into our Auto ML. But basically, what Auto ML offering is there is a lot of ML that it already does no code, and then also gives you a little bit of flexibility to, like, code in your own ML model, right? And then finally, what we have is the end-to-end AI, where if you want to go complete infrastructure as a service, where, like, you're doing hands-on coding and you want a lot of custom, infrastructure for it, we actually are able to do that too. So we're trying to meet you where you're at in that journey. I think that's what makes this journey very, very interesting is because we have a lot of developers that are still foraying into AI, and that's what we want to bring in. So how do we do all of this stuff? We do this with one of our flagship products, what we call is Vertex AI. So let me actually explain to you like how Vertex AI actually works in terms of a company like BMC. We already have Helix that is like pretty robust, and it collects a lot of data about your organization, especially in the security operations systems. With all that data, you can actually just like write a simple ML code on something like BigQuery, very quickly understand like what the insights are. And now if you're actually seeing a series of things going on and on and on, then you can use something like an auto ML and see like with no code, are there any low hanging fruits that we should be attacking and actually like giving alerts about. But then when you have like deep data science where like you want to build pipelines, you want to actually have ML ops, you want to have like your own feature store and everything after the AutoML inputs, you can do that too. So it's all possible with one unified platform, what we call as Vertex AI. With Vertex AI, basically Google is abstracting a lot of the infrastructure and actually helping you do a better job on just like, if you're a data scientist, don't spend too much time on the DevOps. We will take that for you, right? And if you're not a data scientist, you're just a data analyst, you want to do some no code stuff, you can use AutoML. So that's the whole thing that we're trying to solve, is like we're trying to make sure that your enablement is condensed and you're actually able to build out results pretty fast. And these are the building blocks of Vertex AI. It's a pretty heavy slide, but overall, like we provide the workbenches. We actually are able to do pipeline orchestration, which I think if you have any data scientists listening to this, it is one of the most toughest things to do. Where I feel like personally as a data scientist, you spend a lot of times in DevOps, not in model building, and then you actually have like the entire training and other exercises that you could do in Vertex AI. Now, if you've done a great job and you want to do all that stuff, package your own product and actually make it its own, right? So that's the vision of Vertex AI, and we really are excited to bring that to the innovation wing of BMC whenever they're ready. And this is how the end-to-end machine learning process looks like: is you've built a very secure and robust system which is now operational on multi-cloud, and you're getting a bunch of insights about your customer and their data, and if they require, you can custom build an ML ops based product for them that they could use for better management. This is our art of possible when it comes to BMC, and these are the three main things that I wanted to touch on in my presentation today. That said, I will leave a remaining 6-7 minutes for questions, and I have my moderators who are going to actually put those questions in. I'm just patiently waiting on the questions to pop in. Okay, so I think one of the questions was about just Chronicle in general, on like how does Chronicle integrate with our IT processes in general. So Chronicle, like I said, like it's the next step for SIEM, right? Like so it's a telemetry based system that actually helps you do a lot of analytics on your security stuff, and there it actually has its own console, so you can actually get on the once Chronicle is deployed, you can actually get on its own console and you can actually monitor everything that's going on, and you can integrate that into our BigQuery or AI systems and actually even like generate some intelligence stuff. So happy to share more about Chronicle, but the best place to start is when you go to cloud.google.com, and you can actually find a lot of information on Chronicle, and there's also enough videos from our conference Google Cloud Next about like Chronicle and its capabilities. The next question I have is like, what do you see as the biggest differentiator BMC has running on GCP? I think the biggest differentiator that I personally see BMC getting on GCP is really getting being that hybrid and multi-cloud. I feel like, as cloud providers, pretty much everyone is making leaps and bounds, especially when it comes to security and everything. But I think one place where I feel like, Google has had an edge is our product Anthos, because we have been very favorable for multi-cloud. Internally, we actually like to actually think about us as like a very open source company in general. So that mindset has actually like helped us innovate on the multi-cloud area. So Anthos was something that we started working on for almost like I think 3-4 years ago, and we've made some really good, amazing progress. And I personally have seen some customers from Google Cloud who've been using Google Cloud and still have data centers. They didn't have to retire them. Why waste all that in investment, right? So I think that's probably the biggest differentiator that I see, is that if Helix runs on GCP and they have a customer that's on-prem, we could still help them. We could still work with them. And even if they're on different clouds, we could still help them. So that's the biggest differentiator I see. I feel like there's a little lag between the questions and me, so I'm like just patiently waiting. Sorry for the awkward silences. Okay, there's another one. Like, how easy is it to work with Vertex AI? Well, like I said, it's meet you where you're at kind of a product. So what that actually means is that if you actually are a no code, like you're just a data analyst, you just don't know how to do AI, you're just like entering into AI, and like for example, you have a bunch of data and you don't know what the insights are, you can actually load it into BigQuery, and there is a BigQuery ML portion that you could just, it's a click of a button, and it actually gives you like 5 different, say, patterns or whatever you want to call it, like, and then you could pick and choose, like, oh, this seems to me interesting to me, and then you can build on it, right? And the same thing with, like, if you're seeing, if BigQuery is actually seeing a consistency of something, it'll actually alert you. So that's one easy way to do it. And then now, as you start like your ML journey and you become better and better at it, then you can actually take that and even like package your own model in a way and start deploying it on Vertex AI. So I would say it's fairly easy. So the question that just came in was, I was wondering if you have any key takeaways you would want attendees to take from this session. I think the biggest takeaway is, personally for me, and being part of this partnership with BMC, is that oftentimes I feel like we're always thinking about one cloud, one product, one everything. But it's very encouraging to see industry leaders like BMC, you know, working on the whole agility aspect of things, right? The big takeaway for me is that all clouds are actually out there to help you become more productive. It's not it's I personally don't ever see, you know it's always like about competition. It's, for me, it's not that. It's about increasing the developer productivity, right? So I think the big takeaway for me is like, be more open, like pun intended, like just like open cloud and hybrid cloud, because I think that's where the possibilities lie. Because there's always something that on-prem can offer, clouds can offer, and everything, and especially the security realm, right? There's so much innovation that people are doing, clouds are doing on the security realm, and you know that kind of like open mindset and hybrid mentality actually can go a long way. And that's really what we're trying to see if we can achieve here with BMC Helix, is that we're going to deliver them on our Google Cloud platform. That's the promise of the partnership, but also try to see, like, can we actually go to market together and like do some amazing things on the AI realm and hybrid cloud, etc. Oh, one more question. Who should we reach out if we want to engage with BMC and Google Cloud? The person that I think you should reach out to is Kelsey Domi, Kelsey, Kelsey, and Domme, Domi. Or you can even email me, svarada at google.com, SV as in Victor, ARAD at google.com. So Kelsey really leads the relationships with everything BMC. I'm actually the head of engineering, so I'm happy to even touch base with you, to whoever you want to touch base with. So we would be the two good starting points. and it was a great opportunity to actually talk about what BMC and Google are doing together, and hopefully we can actually come back next year, maybe like this time live, next time live, or actually even like virtual. This is great too, and I would like to personally thank BMC for giving Google the opportunity to do all these things with them, and then also like me having an opportunity to present with them. So thank you very much, guys.